Hi, welcome once again. This is Ralph from VAR, where football's biggest moment goes under review. This is your one and only Ralph, where we're going to speak about everything concerning football, banter, trolls, post game, pre game, and then some interviews undertaken by managers and also the players. This channel is proudly sponsored by Velida Rose Realty, where she brings you nothing but the best when it comes to owning a home in the SDG area. If you're a senior, you're a new couple, you're an immigrant in Canada, and you want to stay within the SDG area, reach Valida Rose Realty and she's going to help you with everything that has to do to owning a home. You can call her on 416-317-5777. 416-317-5777. Also, if you want to send money back home to family, friends, and relatives, you can use the Lemfi app. With this app, when you send money back home, your family, friends, and relatives receive the money instantly with no hidden charges. You can send money by using my promo code RAPHSJ for you. RAPHSJ4, as in the number 4, U for umbrella. Use my promo code and get a $20 cashback bonus whenever you use my promo code, whenever you send $100 or more. So if you're in the US, Canada, or any part of Europe and you want to send money, just use Lemfi and then your beneficiaries are going to receive their money instantly. Okay, so if you watch the previous episode, we did speak about the Champions League. There were interesting games where we made some predictions, and some predictions did go right, but others didn't go as expected. For the Chelsea game, we called for a draw in that game, but Chelsea were able to prove us wrong. They were able to win that game. And for the Barcelona versus PSG game, we also did predict that game to end in a win for PSG, and they were able to edge it over um, Barcelona in that game. All right, so the weekend is upon us once again, and we have some interesting games that are going to happen across Europe. And as usual, we are going to start with the English Premier League, which arguably is the most hottest, the most spiciest, the most interesting league in the whole world. But it's something that is always debatable. All right, and today we have we have a game that is happening on Friday today, and that game is the Bournemouth versus Fulham game. So Bournemouth are playing at home against Fulham. Fulham coming from London. They began the season think with the first 2 or 3 games they began very well, but with time, the remaining games that they have played haven't been so good for them. So probably they may want to write a new story this time around, and then um, and then have their season kicked on. So we look at how Marco Silva is going to shape up his team out there. They have some injuries that might be a worry for them going into this game. And Bournemouth has been able to win against them in the past few games that they have played. I watched a preview of that game on the Premier League app, and there have been some nice goals that have been scored in the past in this game. Players like Callum Wilson, Tavernier, Evan Nelson in the past few games, Dango Atara and co have been able to score some very nice goals in that game. And because Bournemouth are playing at home, and looking at the form they have this season, I think Adoni Ariola and his men will be able to edge it over Fulham in this game, because Fulham are missing some key players in this game, and it might be a very tricky one from them, especially when they are playing away from home. Because if you are not playing at home, you don't have the comfort, you don't have the luxury to play the kind of football you want to play, because the home team have an extra man in the fans at the stadium. So it's going to be a very tricky one for Fulham traveling away from home. And with the players that Bournemouth are having this season and the kind of form they are in, with Semenyo, Tavernier, and co doing so well this season, I think Bournemouth is going to win this game at home whilst they play against Fulham. Um, Tomorrow in the Premier League as well, we do have some interesting games. There is an early kickoff where Leeds is going to face Tottenham Hotspur. So Leeds is playing at Elland Road against Tottenham Hotspur. And when you look at the head-to-head between these two teams in the last 5 games, I think Tottenham Hotspurs have been able to win 3. Leeds have won one, and then the other one has ended in a draw between the two teams. Tottenham Hotspur started the season very good, but in the past few games, it hasn't been a very. They haven't had a good run of form. Some results haven't gone as expected. If you look at the head-to-head between these two teams, um, Tottenham Hotspur, the last game they played in the Premier League was back in 2023, where Tottenham Hotspur were able to win by 4 goals to 1. And before that, Tottenham Hotspur also won that game by 4 goals to 3. So, for head to head for both teams, Tottenham Hotspur edges it over Leeds United. But when you look at current form, it hasn't been. Tottenham Hotspur has been able to get some draws on the road leading to this game, and Leeds United too, they have had some draws and then also a couple of losses before meeting Leeds. Um, to predict in this game, I'm going to go for a win for Tottenham Hotspurs because they haven't been doing too good and they want to probably get a win in this game and also kick off their season to a better start. So I'll go for a Tottenham Hotspur win over Leeds. And if I'm to give a score line, it's going to end in a 2-1 win for Tottenham Hotspurs over Leeds. And there is also Arsenal playing at the Emirates against West Ham United. So West Ham United, before their last game, they sacked Graham Potter, and then they now have a new manager in the person of Nuno Espirito. And this is a manager that is pragmatic. This is a manager that does the simple things. If you look at the kind of formation he has been playing in the past, when he was at Wolves, when he was at Tottenham Hotspurs, and then Nottingham Forest, he's just route one. He doesn't like to overthink like some of these new age managers. He just does the simple things and then he gets his results. And when you look at their last game, which was his first game, I mean Esperanto, which he played against um, Everton, they were able to get a draw. And if that game was to be played by Graham Potter, I think they would have lost that game. But Esperanto coming in was able to get a draw against Everton away and playing against Arsenal, which is a London derby. For me, I always say that derbies are not based on the form of the teams or the players, or neither is it even sometimes based on the tactical approach that managers enter into games with, because it all depends on how hungry the players are, because it's a derby. Everyone wants to prove that their team is a better side when it comes to whatever derby it is they are playing for. So this is a London derby, and West Ham will want to prove a point that we are better off than Arsenal. Arsenal also want to prove to West Ham that we are better off than you when it comes to the teams in London. So it's all going to boil on which team is much more hungrier. Tactically, Arsenal are far ahead. On paper, Arsenal are far ahead of West Ham United, because West Ham, the kind of players they have, comes nowhere close to um, Arsenal. But when it comes to the managers as well, I don't see so much difference between Esperanto and then Arteta. Arteta has been in Arsenal for I think this is seventh season or so, and the only trophy he can show for is the FA Cup, which was, I always say, it was literally won by Unai Emery. He just came in and then played the final and he won that game. So I don't see so much difference between these two managers. I'm going to rate them at the same level, and this game is going to be about which of the players are much more hungrier for the results. And Arsenal, as I'm saying, tactically, yes, they are on paper, they are much more better than West Ham, but it's going to be about who is much more hungrier for this game. And I think West Ham having Nuno Espirito in their midst is going to give them a booster, because he's a new manager, and whenever a team has a new manager, the players want to play their hearts out just to win the hearts of their manager. So I see this game ending in a draw. When you look at previous results, last season, West Ham was able to beat Arsenal at home. And that was a game where I think Declan Rice got a red card in that game. And even before that, Arsenal had conceded. Bowen had scored a goal. So it's Arsenal will be coming into this game thinking about that. They want to take a revenge against West Ham United, because they want to show West Ham United that what happened last season was just a fluke. It's because of the red card that we received in that game. That's why you were able to win this game. So it's going to be a difficult game. Both teams want to win, But if I'm to call out for a prediction, it's going to end in a draw. Probably a 1-1 or a 2-2 in this game is what I see happening. And then you have Manchester United playing against Sunderland. Sunderland, their manager has been nominated for manager of the month, because when you look at the results they have had in the past month, is September, it's something good to speak of, and they have been doing so good. If you look at the teams that returned from the championship, yeah, I think they are the only team that so far they look like they are going to remain in the Premier League. And playing against Manchester United, who I always say when they are facing small teams, quote unquote small teams like Sunderland, they don't perform so well. But when they are facing the big teams, then they go out there to play very well. I see Sunderland getting a result in this game. Worst case scenario, they could be able to get a draw. They have players like Xhaka, who has all the experience playing in the Premier League. So facing Manchester United it's not something new to him, and it's not going to be too difficult for him. For Ruben Amorim and his men, the I see the only problem being Ruben Amorim being so stubborn. Yes, he stuck to one ideology, he stuck to one principle, and he's not ready to change it. And I think that is what is causing his downfall. Until he changes it, which I don't think he's ready to do, he's going to still go by his three-back system. I don't see anything wrong with playing a three-back system, but you should be able to tweak it. You can be playing a three-back system where if you lose the ball, the shape of the team is going to change. Maybe you are going to have one of the wing backs dropping to the defense, where you have a four-back system, or maybe both of them dropping back, creating a five-back system. But all he's thinking about is keeping his wing backs, that is Dogu and whoever is playing on the right, going up front and then crossing the balls. And these guys don't come back, they don't fall back. And you have a player like Luke Shaw, who is not performing so well when it comes to the defense, the left side of defense. So Ruben Amorim will have to make some difficult changes going into this game, and if he's not ready to make these changes and still stick by this his principle of playing a three-back system, and you know that with a three-back system, what I know, even though I'm not a tactical person, is you need a very good midfield. You need uh, midfielders who are people who can block, and then people who can carry the ball as well. When Chelsea was playing a three-back system, they had with Antonio Conte, you had Matic in there, you had N'Golo Kante in there, and these were ball destroyers. They are people that can easily win the ball from the opposing defense or the opposing team easily. You don't have such midfielders in Manchester United, so why should you even think about playing a three-back system? You wanted Carlos Baleba and you couldn't get him, and you don't have the personnel. So why would you rather switch up the system, play a formation that is rather going to suit the players? When you get the players, when you get the right personnel, then you can go back to playing your normal football. And it seems Ruben Amorim is not ready to learn. So I see Sunderland winning this game. The game is going to be won in the defense with Granit Xhaka in the heart of defense for Sunderland. I see Sunderland winning this game, and as usual, the United fans, I see them, will be ranting after this game, but nothing is going to be done. Okay, the next game on the bill is the last game for Saturday in the Premier League. Is going to be Chelsea playing against Liverpool. Chelsea in their last two games have been able to no, they lost one. They lost against Brighton and Hove Albion in the Premier League, and then their last game against Benfica, they were able to get a win. That was by a slim margin, winning by 1-0. Liverpool, they haven't had a good run of results in their last two games. As I have always said, they have a very porous and bad defense, which the coach will have to fix when we get into the January transfer um, season. So this game is also going to be much more of a a midfield battle. And on paper, Chelsea have a much more better midfield, especially looking at the return of Romeo Lavia in this game. I am seeing Enzo Maresca probably starting Romeo Lavia and and Moises Caicedo in this game, playing the two men in the midfield, and then pushing Enzo Fernandez in the number 10 position. Doing that is going to have help Chelsea edge over Liverpool, because Liverpool's midfield for Ancelotti is not it's not doing so good like how it was last season with Gravenberg and what's the name again, Soboslai. This time around, he's even playing Soboslai on the right side of defense. So when you have slots putting Soboslai on the right side of defense, definitely it's going to short Liverpool in the midfield. And when you have a ball destroyer like Caicedo in the midfield, then you need someone like Soboslai to help the Liverpool midfield as well. But if Klopp is going to move Soboslai to the right side of defense, then I see Liverpool struggling in this game. Chelsea also have defensive problems because of disciplinary issues. Trevor Chalobah is not going to be involved in this game because he got a red card in their last game against Brighton and Hove Albion. So Liverpool also have some defensive lapses. Unfortunately for them, their number one shot stopper, Alisson Becker, is not going to be involved in this game. And I think that's where Chelsea can also punish Liverpool, because Alisson is a very good shot stopper, one of the best in the world, and his absence is going to be an advantage for Chelsea. Even though Chelsea don't have an out and out striker, when you look at someone like João Pedro, I don't see him as an out and out striker. Even though his numbers are up there, even though he's able to get you what you need as a team when he's playing up front, but he's not an out and out striker. So Liverpool have been struggling defensively. You have the defensive pairing of Konate and then Virgil van Dijk, which is aging, which they have to change. Chelsea also have defensive problems with Levi Colwill getting injured before the start of the season. They weren't able to replace him, and since the start of the season, they haven't had a consistent uh, pairing at the back. Today it is Chaloba, tomorrow it is Tosin. Now Badiashi has also returned. So tomorrow you don't know who is even going to be. It's probably going to be Badiashi and maybe a Champong, or probably I don't see him playing Tosin because Tosin is sometimes slow when it comes to building up from the back. So this game is going to be much more of a midfield battle where if Anslot makes that mistake of playing um, Soboslai at the right side of defense, then that's where Chelsea is going to capitalize on winning the midfield battle. If they have Enzo playing and Estaval also playing, so that's going to be a double term, then they can edge it over Liverpool. Um, for my prediction, I think Chelsea is going to win this game. Not because I'm a Chelsea fan. I'm just being objective here. I see Chelsea winning this game. Liverpool have a poor run of games, and Chelsea also they haven't started so well. If you look on the league table, Liverpool are still top of the table. Chelsea, I think they are eighth on the table. That tells you that in the midst of all this, Liverpool are still performing better. When you listen to the preview or the pre-game analysis or the interviews that were held, Enzo Maresca was being asked about the vulnerability of Liverpool, and he said no, he doesn't see Liverpool being vulnerable, even though in their past two games they haven't been able to get results. So it's going to be a very difficult game, but all in all, I think Chelsea will be able to edge it over Liverpool by winning by say a slim margin, because I don't see Chelsea scoring more than say two goals, probably two goals. And because Chelsea themselves have a very bad defense, they might concede one at the end of the game. Okay, and on Sunday we have Aston Villa playing against Burnley. Burnley not too good, returning from the championship, and they have been performing a little bit below par. So I think Aston Villa, even though playing um, in the Europa League during midweek, they should be able to gather all the energy that is needed, recoup, and then win the game against Burnley. There's also Everton playing Crystal Palace. So Crystal Palace, as we know, is the only team that is unbeaten so far in the Premier League, and they were able to beat Liverpool. This is going to be an interesting game. It's the new generation against the old generation. So you have David Moyes facing Oliver Glasner, And since Everton is playing at home, I expect them to at least get a result. They have some players that are performing very well. A player like Jack Grealish, since his transfer from Manchester City to Everton, has been proving some of the fans wrong. So they playing at home. Maybe if it was against a different team, they could have got a result in this game. But since it's Oliver Glasner and his men, maybe they should be able to get a draw in that game. And there is Newcastle United playing against Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest lost their last game, where they played against in the Conference League. So they played on Thursday. Newcastle United played on Wednesday. So both teams couldn't rest during the midweek. Both teams played. They were involved in Europe, and I see Newcastle winning this game because they lost their last game to Arsenal, and they wouldn't want that form to continue since they are playing at home. They have players like Anthony Gordon, Nick Watamade, um, Murphy, and Cole, who are doing very well. So probably they should. I don't see them struggling so much in this game. They should be able to get a win in this game. And there is also Wolves, the Wolverhampton Wanderers team playing against Brighton and Hove Albion. Brighton and Hove are likely to miss. They are likely to miss Mitoma in this game. So that's going to be a downgrade for them playing against Wolves. But Wolves are languishing at the bottom of the table, so it's not a good start for them this season. If care is not taken, they might be relegated this season, and they would love to win this game. But this Brighton side is a very good team, and I will predict for a win for Brighton against Wolves, even though they are playing at home. And then finally, there is the Brentford against Manchester City game happening. Brentford also have some injuries here and there, and going into this game playing against Manchester City, Pep Guardiola, um, having won his last game, and also winning in the Champions League in midweek, even though he traveled to Monaco in France. I see him being able to get a result against Brentford from away. But looking at how Brentford play, they are a team that they depend so much on set pieces. If you look at most of the teams they have played so far this season, they are able to get their goals from set pieces. When it comes to the long throws, the free kicks, and then the corners, that is where they get their goals. Man City to this, their defense has been a bit shaky this season. So all in all, I'm going to go for a win for Manchester City, even though they are playing away from home. Okay, let's touch on some games that will be played in the La Liga. So in the La Liga, you have Real Madrid playing against Villarreal on Saturday, and Real Madrid, after losing to Atletico Madrid, I think that was a reality check for them because they had been going on and on by winning all their games, but after losing to Atletico Madrid, they had a reality check, and now they want to bounce back and then get things going right. So um, for head to head between the two teams, um, in their last five in the past few games they have played last season, Real Madrid was able to beat Villarreal away from home, and then Real Madrid were able to beat Villarreal at the Bernabeu as well. And this time, since they are playing at the Bernabeu, I think I see Real Madrid winning this game. um, Kylian Mbappe has been scoring goals so far. I think he's the top scorer in Spain, and he wants to keep that form ongoing by beating or scoring against Villarreal. Villarreal have some good players like Renato Viega and the likes of Thomas Partey and co. But Real Madrid playing at home at the Bernabeu is going to be a tough game for Villarreal. So when you look at the league table, Villarreal just behind Real Madrid. So Real Madrid are sitting second on the league log, whereby you have Villarreal sitting third on the league log. And I think it's just 2 points that is separating these two teams. So it's going to be a tight game. It's going to be a game to look out for. But Real Madrid playing at the Bernabeu should be able to win their game against Villarreal. And um, on Sunday, you have Barcelona playing away from home against Sevilla. So Barcelona, in the past, this game used to be a very good, interesting game. Sevilla have I think their team is a bit aged. They have players like Cesar Aspilieta, who has played for several years, and I think he's already past his prime. So the Barcelona team have all the youth, and they are going to capitalize on that to punish Sevilla. So I'm going to go for a straight win for Barcelona over Sevilla. And also there is Atletico Madrid, who are writing a new story after starting the season so poorly. They have been able to win 3 games on the bounce, and that's so impressive. I was criticizing their manager Diego Simeone some time back earlier on the season because he hasn't been able to get some good results, but he's now writing a new story in there. He's now coining a new story for himself in Madrid. So I think they are going to win that game against Sevilla. All right, and in the we are also going to look at the German Bundesliga. So in the German Bundesliga, you have Borussia Dortmund facing Leipzig. Leipzig. Sorry, Borussia Dortmund are playing at home to Leipzig, and these two teams are teams that have always been given some kind of competition to Bayern Munich, but it's not the kind of competition that you really want because it's more or less like a monopoly in the German league where Bayern Munich has been winning over and over again. It's just in the past few seasons, you see some few teams like uh, Dortmund win one. And then was it last 2 seasons ago you had Leverkusen also winning one. So these two teams they try their best, but financially they are not there. These two teams are more or less like teams that are just there to make the money. They groom the players and then later on sell to the big guys, the giants in the league like Bayern Munich and other teams across Europe. But looking at the form of these two teams, I'm going to predict for a win, um, where Borussia Dortmund playing at home at the Signal Iduna should be able to win against Leipzig. And then you have Bayern Munich playing away from home by facing Eintracht Frankfurt. So Bayern Munich, route one for me. Um, I think across Europe, it's Harry Kane, who is the top scorer. When you look at the major leagues across Europe, is the only one who has been able to score more goals this year. I don't know the number of goals, but I think he's a top scorer in Europe this season. And they playing away from home should be an easy game for them. In the last game that they played in the Champions League, I think they won by 5 goals or so with Nicholas Jackson, Harry Kane, and others scoring. They have a very strong attack with Michael Olise and Serge Gnabry, and there are a lot of players who are performing so well in that team. And their coach is a young manager who is also learned a lot, Vincent Company. So playing against Eintracht Frankfurt, who have sold Ekitike and most of their prized assets, it's going to be difficult for Eintracht Frankfurt playing at home. And I see them losing that game against Bayern Munich. All right, so let's quickly jump to um, Italy. So in Italy, also, we'll look at the International Milan game against Cremonese. So Cremonese, so far this season, they are one of the few teams that haven't lost a single game in Italy. Yes, they haven't lost a single game, and that's quite surprising. On the table, they are sitting seventh with 9 points. They have won 2 games with five games played. They have won two, and then they have drawn three. They haven't lost a single game, scored 6 goals and then conceded 4. So they have a plus of 2. Inter Milan have played 5 games. They have won 3, drawn none, and then lost 2. So they are also having 9 points. So there's looking at their form and looking at the points build up of these two teams, they all have the same number of points. And Cremonese will just want to continue with the unbeaten streak where they are going away to Inter Milan playing at the San Siro. So they want to at least grind the result by getting a draw. Inter Milan played, mind you, Inter Milan played in midweek in the Champions League, and when I look at the results, yes, they did win in midweek, but since they are playing against a difficult team that hasn't lost in so far this season. They want to keep that form. They want to keep it going, and by not losing in this game. All right. So Inter Milan are playing at home. Yes, they are facing Cremonese in Serie A. So Inter Milan, they are sitting fifth, and then Cremonese are sitting seventh in the Italian Serie A, where both teams are having the same number of points. Nothing separates them. Just goal difference are separating these two teams. Okay. Um, you also have um Juventus playing. Sorry, yes. So Juventus are playing at home to AC Milan. That's a very interesting game. AC Milan are sitting on top of the Italian Serie A. They haven't lost a game so far. Sorry, they have lost um they have lost one game. So out of 5 games played for AC Milan, they have won four and then lost one, and they have 12 points. So they have scored 9 goals and then conceded three. They have before the start of the season. Most football fans and analysts were criticizing the team by saying, "Why bring in a player like Luka Modric when you have a team that is aging? Why bring in a player like Luka Modric?" But you see the rhythm and then the style of play of the team has changed suddenly. Yes, he is aged, but you see the experience is still there. Some of these players, when they are aging, that is when they even give you the best in them. So that's what I'm seeing in AC Milan. They are doing so good so far. They also have Adrian Rabiot, so that tells you they have a very good midfield. Juventus, they started so well, but they have been on the decline. They have won 3 games and then drawn two. They have also not lost a single game. So it's only 1 point that is separating AC Milan and then Juventus. And Juventus have Jonathan David as their lead marksman in there. And I am happy for him because he's Canadian, and with the upcoming World Cup, Canada will need players to be playing in the major leagues, in the top leagues, in the Champions League and co, so that they can also come in with some experience to help the nation. So for that matter or that fact alone, I'm happy for Jonathan David. But Juventus, I think they will have to get in more firepower than that. Not to belittle the the ability of Jonathan David, but I think they'll have to get in more firepower in the coming transfer window so that they can perform much more better. Because in Europe, when you look at the Italian teams, it seems most of them have not been able to perform so well. And if they want to um, conquer, or if they want to do well in Europe again, then there is a need for them to get in the right personnel, the right players, so that they can do very well. Okay, so these are some of the interesting games that are going to be happening in the weekend, over the weekend in Italy. All right, let's see if we can touch on some few games that will be happening in in France. That is the Ligue 1. Yes, let's see if we can look at some games that will be happening in France. So in the Ligue 1, yes. So we have some games that will be happening in the Ligue 1, the French Ligue 1 as well. Let's look at the fixtures. Let's look for some of the interesting games that will be happening. Fixtures. Where do we have the fixtures? Okay. All right, so we have Metz playing at home to Olympic Marseille. So yes, Metz will be facing Olympic Marseille, and Route One. I think Roberto Di Zerbi and his men should be able to win against Metz at playing away from home. There is Lyon playing against Toulouse, which I think Lyon is going to win. Monaco playing against Nice. Monaco, I'm going to predict for a Monaco win, and also Strasbourg Chelsea are next playing against Angers, who I think will win, and Paris Saint-Germain playing away from home to Lille, which in the in the past few seasons it has been an interesting game, but with the arrival of Luis Enrique and then the kind of materials he has so far, I don't see them giving Paris Saint-Germain a difficult game. So I'm just going to predict for a win for Paris Saint-Germain. Okay, so this is where we're going to draw the curtains down on today's episode of Ralph on VAR. Thank you for watching. If you are watching, if you are a first time, if this is your first time watching, all you have to do to help this channel is to like this like this sorry like this content and like all our previous content, subscribe to the channel, and then put us on post notification so that whenever a content is being dropped, you'll be the first one to see this content. We are proudly sponsored by Valida Rose Realty, who brings you nothing but the best when it comes to owning a home to SDG. So we're going to catch you next time on the next episode, where we bring you a recap of most of the games that were played in Europe. Thank you for watching. Catch you next time.